The sting of betrayal pierced me more profoundly than I could have ever anticipated. This wound was not the result of a singular betrayal, but rather the careless utterances of my wife, overheard in a bustling diner. At 42, I am a tax lawyer with a meticulous eye for detail, married to Elise for 9 years. We are childless, a decision that, in hindsight, I now see as a blessing. Elise, who worked in human resources for a software company, captivated me with her charm and confidence when we first met at a legal conference. Our romance unfolded like a whirlwind. We were engaged within 5 months and married shortly thereafter. For years, I believed in our happiness, our life marked by synchronized dinners, weekend escapades, and tranquil evenings together. However, the truth unraveled in an unexpected manner. It was a routine Wednesday when the facade of our life came crashing down. I was enjoying lunch with my colleague Nathan at our regular diner when another coworker, Paul, approached our table. His expression pale and eyes flitting with anxiety. "James, I have something you need to know," he said, his tone urgent yet subdued. "But you must remain calm." My stomach lurched. After nearly 2 decades in the legal field, I understood that such forewarnings rarely heralded good tidings. Paul slid his phone across the table and pressed play. The audio was unmistakable. Elisa's laughter, bright and familiar, filled the space, followed by her words. "I've been with 4 guys from work this month. James is completely oblivious. He's so engrossed in his cases that he'll never suspect a thing." Another woman's voice interjected cautiously. "Aren't you worried he'll find out?" Elisa's response was chillingly nonchalant. "Not at all. He's too trusting. And that prenup we signed, it's long expired. If I leave, I'll take half of everything. It's a no-lose situation." Paul explained that he had been seated at the next table the previous day, dining alone when he overheard Elisa's conversation. Recognizing her voice and the weight of her words, he began recording, knowing I would need evidence. Nathan and Paul observed me closely, bracing for an emotional outburst. However, I had never been one for theatrics. My professional life depended on strategic thinking rather than impulsive reactions. I thanked Paul and requested he send me the audio file. I attempted to resume my meal, though the food had lost all flavor. That evening, I returned home as if nothing had shifted. I greeted Elise with a kiss, inquiring about her day, and sat down to dinner with her. All the while my mind raced, calculating our assets, accounts, and our life together. I was already strategizing. The following morning, I contacted a private investigator named Victor Hale, a reliable man I had collaborated with in the past, known for his discretion and thoroughness. I detailed the situation, wired him a retainer, and provided him with everything he would need to track Elisa's movements. I also discreetly withdrew $12,000 from our joint account to cover initial expenses without raising her suspicions. For the next 4 weeks, I maintained the facade of a devoted husband. We watched our favorite shows, shared meals, and even made love when she initiated it, though I insisted on protection, citing vague concerns about timing. She accepted this without question, unaware of my true motivations. Meanwhile, Victor was compiling a comprehensive dossier. Photographs of Elise entering motels with various men, time-stamped receipts, credit card charges for unexplained expenses, and detailed reports of her covert meetings. I also consulted a divorce attorney, Margaret Voss, a shrewd, no-nonsense lawyer outside my firm's sphere. Elise knew too many of my colleagues, some of whom had become too familiar, and I could not afford any leaks. When I presented Margaret with the evidence, her eyes sparkled with the confidence of a predator closing in on its prey. "This is airtight," she declared. "But we should wait." I was taken aback. "Wait?" questioned. "Yes," she affirmed. "Let her file first. Trust me, it will strengthen our position." Margaret had discerned something I had not. Elisa's mention of the expired prenup and her intention to claim half of my assets indicated she was preparing to make the first move. Filing prematurely would alert her, giving her time to prepare. Thus, I bided my time, upholding the illusion of normalcy at home while taking precautions behind the scenes. I transferred important documents to a safe deposit box, duplicated financial records, and meticulously documented all assets for the inevitable disclosure process. Margaret recommended transparency to avoid allegations of hiding assets, but we also secured accounts to prevent Elise from taking impulsive actions. Once the divorce commenced 0.5 months after Paul's recording, Elise made her move. I returned home to find her sitting at our kitchen table, a manila folder in front of her, her face a mask of feigned sorrow. "James, we need to talk," she began. "I'm not happy. I haven't been for a long time." I pretended to be shocked, then hurt, inquiring if there was someone else involved. She denied it, claiming we had simply drifted apart. She then slid divorce papers toward me, which detailed a significant alimony request, citing her role in supporting my career and the lifestyle she had grown accustomed to. I told her I needed time to process her request, and she agreed, confident in her perceived advantage. That night I contacted Margaret. "She's filed and is asking for substantial alimony," I reported. "Perfect," Margaret replied. "Now we move." The following week unfolded with meticulous precision. Margaret filed a counter-petition challenging the alimony request on the grounds of infidelity. When Elise's attorney dismissed our claims as groundless, Margaret responded coolly, "We will present our evidence in court." When confronted, Elise doubled down, accusing me of paranoia and insisting I was fabricating stories. I portrayed myself as the aggrieved spouse, revealing none of the arsenal we had amassed. The legal process progressed at its own deliberate pace. During the discovery phase, we submitted our evidence, which included Paul's recording, admissible under our state's one-party consent laws for public settings, Victor surveillance photographs and reports, credit card statements detailing Elise's hotel visits, and text messages exchanged between Elise and 3 of her lovers, obtained through legal subpoenas with the cooperation of 2 co-workers who had turned on her to save themselves. The judge, a stern woman known for her efficiency, reviewed the materials over several hearings. Elise's attorney scrambled to respond, but the evidence was irrefutable. After 4 months, we reached the settlement phase. Elise's world began to crumble. Her affairs had become the subject of office gossip, not due to my actions but because of the men involved, whose own indiscretions sparked internal investigations. Her employer, citing ethical violations related to relationships with subordinates, placed her on leave. At the settlement conference, the judge was straightforward. Given the overwhelming evidence of infidelity and the original prenuptial agreement's intent, though expired, I'm inclined to deny significant alimony if this goes to trial. I urge both parties to settle reasonably. Elise's attorney requested a break to confer. Upon returning, they withdrew the alimony claim and agreed to a settlement that awarded me the house, both vehicles, and 70% of our remaining assets, a stark contrast to the expected 50-50 division, given her misconduct. As we exited the courthouse, Elise approached me, tears streaming down her face, an image that sharply contrasted with her composed demeanor when she had initially filed. "James, please, I messed up. Where am I supposed to go?" I met her gaze unwaveringly. "That's your problem now. You made your choices. Live with them." The weeks that followed were a blur of paperwork and asset transfers. Realizing the extent of her miscalculation, Elise launched a desperate campaign to salvage her position. She reached out to mutual friends, spinning tales of regret, and even appeared at my office, only to be escorted out by security. She contacted my family, seeking sympathy. When those efforts failed, she resorted to threats, claiming she would label me abusive, ruin my reputation, or harm herself. I anticipated this, documenting all interactions and notifying authorities of potential self-harm risks. Throughout it all, I remained composed, never engaging or providing her with leverage. 20 days after the settlement, I received a text from Elise. "I'm sleeping in my car tonight. It's freezing. Please, James, have some compassion." I chose not to respond but saved the message, adding it to my documentation for a possible restraining order. The divorce was finalized according to our state's timeline. I sold the house. Its memories were too burdensome, and purchased a sleek condo in a new part of town. I updated my email and social media, filtering Elise's messages into a separate folder while retaining my phone number for professional continuity. 7 months later, I encountered Paul at a coffee shop. He had transitioned to a new firm but remained connected with our former colleagues. "Heard about Elise?" he inquired. I shrugged, realizing I was more curious than hurt. "She was fired," he revealed. "The company's investigation confirmed ethical breaches. She's back in her hometown working at a department store. Tried dating one of the guys from the office, but he bailed when her lifestyle collapsed." I nodded, feeling a faint sense of satisfaction, not from her suffering but from the balance of consequences. "You handled it like a pro," Paul remarked. "No outbursts, just cold, hard strategy. People still talk about it." I thanked him once more for the recording, covered his coffee, and departed, a quiet sense of contentment settling within me. For the first time in over a year I felt liberated. Not because of Elise's downfall, but because I had faced the deepest betrayal of my life and emerged intact. That evening, I responded to a message from a woman I had met at a recent tax law seminar. Lauren, a financial analyst, was witty, ambitious, and unconnected to my past. I suggested we have dinner, and since then we have gone out several times. Life was progressing, and I was moving forward, eyes wide open with a new prenup already drafted in my mind. 3 months later, the ripples of Elise's actions continued to reverberate. Mutual contacts confirmed that her termination stemmed from a formal inquiry into her workplace relationships, which violated HR policies. 2 of the men she had been involved with faced their own divorces, their marriage's collateral damage. One received a written warning but retained his job. Another was reassigned to a different team. Lauren and I have grown closer, enjoying refreshingly honest conversations. On our 4th date, I shared an outline of my divorce, omitting the gritty details. She listened intently and then shared her own story of past betrayal, her candor disarming. There is no rush or pressure, just mutual respect and cautious optimism. Margaret, my attorney, has become a friend, recently inviting me to speak at a legal workshop on evidence in divorce cases, provided my identity remains anonymous. Agreed. Therapy has aided me in navigating the psychological toll, teaching me to balance vigilance with trust. Surprisingly, my career has flourished. The discipline required to manage the divorce while maintaining professionalism caught my firm's attention, earning me high-stakes cases and a swift path to partnership. Some may deem my approach ruthless, but I consider it necessary. Emotional outbursts rarely win battles. Strategy does. To those experiencing similar betrayals, my advice is straightforward. Document meticulously, seek expert counsel, and concentrate on rebuilding. Revenge is not about destruction. It is about flourishing beyond the wreckage. 1 year later, this chapter is closed. The divorce is settled, and all ties to Elise have been severed. I harbor neither bitterness nor sympathy. She is a stranger to me now. Lauren and I are steady, taking our time and valuing our independence while exploring a future together. We have discussed cohabitation but prefer to maintain separate spaces for now, grounded in clear communication and mutual respect. I have encountered Elise's former lovers at industry events. Our interactions are brief, professional, and mutually avoidant. My new condo is home, renovated to reflect my tastes, a space untainted by the past. Reflecting on it all, I do not regret waiting to confront Elise. Acting on impulse would have given her the upper hand. Patience was my ally, leading to a cleaner victory than anger ever could. The 8 years I spent with Elise were not wasted. They shaped me, imparting hard lessons about trust, resilience, and self-worth. This journey, though painful, has revealed my strength. The true triumph was not the settlement or the career advancement. It was the rediscovery of myself, unburdened by betrayal and ready for whatever lies ahead.